Jesse Vassallo, thank you. Gracias. Thank you for your time. I know you're a busy guy, and I know you get quite probably a lot of requests. So I just wanted to first thank you y darte las gracias. So I know we agreed to have this conversation in English, so let's go.
All
Um,
right.
one
Thank
of the
you.
things, yeah, one of the things I wanted to do, Jesse, is do a quick highlight reel. I want to set the tone for everyone out there listening so that they really know the person that I'm talking to, the legend. So
Mhm.
you were a 1980 and 1984 U.S. Olympic team member, a former world record holder for the 200 IM, the 400 IM, a two-time world champion, a two-time Panamerican champion. 1978, you were the World Swimmer of the Year. 1979, Sports Illustrated names you one of the top 10 athletes in the world while still in high school. You were an NCAA champion, an All American, a 16-time U.S. national champion. There's some other research. Looks like you also had an undefeated streak of 5.5 years in the 400 IM, and you can correct me. Um, I will say this on the record. We all believe you are the originator, pioneer, and revolutionizer of the underwater kick. You were inducted in the International Swimming Hall of Fame, the Puerto Rico Hall of Fame, and of course, your hometown Ponce Hall of Fame. Uh, you are the designer and creator of the D band, and I know we want to talk about that. You coach your former hometown team in Ponce for many years. You were also the president of the Puerto Rican Swim Federation. And of course, now you're a head coach for your Pompano Beach home team, club team. So, with all of that, let's get started.
You know what you missed?
Yes,
I'm a
sir.
father of swimmers.
So,
Uh,
it will not
do
be
you know that?
mistaken that you're a father of three, a husband, and a brother, of course. And
Yeah.
we want to get to that as well.
And they
So,
all
thank you.
swam. They all swam at the same, during their ages.
Great. So, Jesse, walk us through how and where did the story begin?
Well, it was pretty much when I was, a young kid. My dad had us do all kinds of sports. Before swimming, we were boxing. We used to box each other, and we used to go to the ring and Ponce and box. But then once we were in San Juan, and we had an apartment at the beach, and they had a nice pool. We were swimming up and down, and we always ended up racing some girls there that were really quick, and we were doing pretty good against them. But their dad said, "Well, what team does the kids swim at? We don't swim in a team. We just swim recreationally, or when we go to the beach, or when we go, out to the little islands." But the girls were swimmers, active swimmers in a swimming team, and they said, they encouraged my dad to get us to swim, and that's when all our swimming career started the next Monday. Took us down to the the what was it, the Ponce, El Deportivo, Club Deportivo de Ponce. We started swimming that Monday under Tomas Garrido. And from then on, it's all history, man. He got so hooked on swimming that he didn't look at any other sports. We had a basketball court in my house. We also played basketball as little kids. I was 9 when we started swimming. By 10, there was no basketball. There was nothing else but a pool in my backyard. So, yeah, my dad got hooked, and all of us swam from them on.
How does that transition happen from Ponce to your next chapter in Florida?
Well, we left Puerto Rico because my dad wanted to expand his businesses. He was looking to uh, start selling the PVC pipes they build in Puerto Rico, and PVC fittings they build in Puerto Rico. They wanted to sell those here in the U.S. So we moved out here to Miami and started looking, actually setting a warehouse and manufacturing facilities down in Winter Heaven. just about 2 hours, 3 hours north of where I live now. And then they got into doing some other warehouses around the country, and that was the beginning. That's why we moved. Uh, the beginning was that. That was the first
Mhm.
reason we moved out here. He also wanted us to learn English. So it was very important to learn English. In Ponce, we didn't practice English. We didn't. When I got down here, we didn't know any English. It was not like in the north in San Juan where everybody knew a little English.
Mhm.
In Ponce, we did not know English back then. There was no TV in English or anything like that.
So when you're in Miami, when when do you when do you start becoming good? Like what's the story? How do you
Well,
start getting?
we were okay already. You know, as a young kids, we were doing okay. Like everybody else, we win some, we lose some. But I did break my first record back in Puerto Rico. So when I was 10 years old, at 50 backstroke, we broke a record there. And, you know, my brothers had broken other records. So, you know, like everybody else, we win some, we lose some. And, when we were in here in Miami, somewhere with the Hurricanes, the University of Miami swimming team, um, at 13, I broke my first national age group record, the 200 backstroke. And it was maybe later that same year I moved to Mission Viejo, or my family moved to Mission Viejo. It's a funny story. We went to a swimming meet in Jamaica. And when we got back, my dad was packed in the car. And he said, okay, we left from the airport directly to California. You know, we have 2 weeks to get there. So I sold the house and we're moving to California. Get in the car.
Let's
And then
go.
he had made a plan already. He had a schedule. He knew where we were going to stay every day. You know, every hotel we had a heated pool, so we could work out in the morning and then go on the trip.
Wow.
So yes, we did that. We all five of us in the back seat of the
Wow.
Cadillac. You know.
So this is a massive move for you
Yeah.
because obviously this is when the the iconic move to the Mission Viejo team, starting to work with Coach Schubert and joining the famous Animal Lane with right the likes of Charlie
Yeah.
Babashaw, Steve Holland, and Brian Goodell. So can you say more about those
Yeah.
stories? How did they
I can
welcome
tell,
you? Not welcome you? What was that like?
I tell you what, it's true. No, actually, Mission Viejo was packed with people from everywhere. We had swimmers from England, from South Africa, from Australia. Uh, we have these guys were there most of the time, but then we have visitors, you know, like the Russians or Germans or people from everywhere will come and swim with us for a couple of weeks. Others will stay for months. But it was, you know, pretty intense. All these stories are true. All those long meters, all those rough days, they were true. And I look back, I said, oh my God, how did we did that? You know, how did we do that? We used to swim 10,000, above 10,000 every day. I
Wow.
get to 12,000. No, every workout, I'm sorry, twice a day, you know? And
Yeah.
it was like, um, they don't do it anymore that way. I don't know how they do it that way. You know, we
Well,
need
you're
to
a
drink,
coach.
we
Yeah,
need
you're
to
a coach
drink
too.
water. We need to drink water. Yeah.
So I one of the things I want to highlight, and a lot of people in the swim community knows this, that in 1976 you get your or you swim the 1500 freestyle and break the 1314 national age group record, or what then becomes one of the longest standing age group records in USA swimming history. I mean, I think it was 47 years up to last year. So can you shed a little bit of that story? Did you expect that day? Obviously, you were training with in the animal lane. So if you still
Well,
have some memories of those.
you you know, I did that in the United States Olympic trials for the 1976, and I came in sixth place. Everyone in that heat, in front of me or behind me, was going to the Olympics in different races, but I wasn't celebrating. I was crying that I didn't make it. It was maybe when it was 25 years old, the record, I started going, oh my God, it's still hanging on. That one, when Michael Phelps went by and he couldn't break it, and I knew he
Yeah.
tried, and that was like, all right, good. Let's see how long it lasts. And then for a while, I was going, man, I hope it gets to 50. I hope it gets to 50. But there's always someone else that's going to be faster. His kid's really good. This kid was swimming his 400 way faster than we were.
Hmm.
So let's see. Let's see
Yeah.
what happens.
So I have a question here because in 1976 we have the Montreal Olympics, and I know some of the story that you tried to swim for Puerto Rico in 1976. Or can you say more about that? Because I think that there's a theme there about later on your history of the Olympics. So
I told you I came in sixth in the Olympic trials in the U.S. and I would have, I was probably in the top 10 with that time and around the world. So I did, and I had the times to go for Puerto Rico. Before that, actually, my dad, because I was 14, my dad had asked the Puerto Rican Swimming Federation, as it was called back then, what do we have to do to swim for Puerto Rico? And they said we couldn't swim because it was only 8 months to the Olympics and we had to live for a year in Puerto Rico before you represent Puerto Rico. That is a rule it's in the books, but it's a rule for those who were not born in Puerto Rico or naturalized. I think it was unjustly applied to us. And that's just the way it went. We fought for it. We fought. My mom, actually, a couple of days ago, I got a briefcase full of stuff from Puerto Rico, and I had the letters of my mom, and my dad writing to the Florida, to the Federation, asking us, and my mom fighting with them and trying back and forth, and it was a real issue. They just made it impossible for us. So I tried. My brothers did not have the time to go to the Olympic trials, so I tried to make the Olympic team for the U.S. That same summer, I made a team that went took us down to New Zealand, and just kept going with the U.S. I was afraid that someday, you might switch, and then all of a sudden they switch back and they kick you out and they don't let you swim. And I said, I'm not going to mess with that.
Yeah.
I'm happy they opened the doors here for me, and I'm just lucky to be part of it. I never wanted to be anything else but what I am. I'm 100% Puerto Rican, but
Yes.
That's what happened, and stuff happens, and you move on.
Yeah, so I was gonna say. So clearly, you didn't let that deter you from your goals, because obviously by 78 you're becoming a household name. You're becoming the best swimmer in the world. So can you maybe take us through that period when the crescendo for the 78 streak and all that stuff, when you become finally world champion and world record holder?
Well, after 76, my dad passed away, and that was a big thing for me. And some people, when they lose someone like that, so close to them, we react differently. I put my head down and trained harder. That's what I did, and I think that helped me perform better. But yeah, I went to the World Championships after that happened, and Pan Am Games, and it was all looking great for the 1980 Olympics, and then we started hearing about the boycott. About the boycott here, that decision wasn't a one day thing. It was something that happened. They first announced it, they approved it much later, so it took a while.
Can you
Actually, I
before you get to that the boycott stuff, obviously for me as a Puerto Rican in growing up swimming, I'm born in '84, and even by 1990 when I'm started to swim, I know all about your story through my parent and anyone else that knew about swimming in Puerto Rico. Almost you were part of the history books almost, and of course there's this story about the '79 Panamerican Games, and I would make a huge mistake if I didn't ask you to share with all of us that story about leading up to the Pan American Games, winning the flag. So I don't want to say too much, but can you share with us? I know you share it other times, but I think I always get goosebumps when I see your videos.
get goosebumps too. I was the luckiest person in the world when everything happens like that. Definitely an awesome experience. Mixed emotions. Uh, I remember a couple of things uh, very vividly. When I first got to Puerto Rico, we landed the plane. It was the first time we landed. We traveled as a team, and I mean not just the swimming team, but the basketball team, the baseball team, whoever. There was a couple of charter planes coming in with the USA team from Colorado, and that was neat because it was never done it that way. But I remember getting down and having four cops, two cops in each side as I was walking by. There was political tension back then, and we landed. We didn't go into the building. We just landed, walked down the steps. Then they go and they take us to a van, and I got escorted that way. The cops were walking me into the bus, and I was like, "Well, okay," and I got it later. And then another moment that I remember is when I walked into the opening ceremonies. We had there was a small group of people yelling and throwing stuff yeah, directly at me because they knew I was, walking with the USA team, and they knew there was Puerto Ricans, and they were throwing stuff at me. So when I got to the pool, I really didn't know how people were going to accept me or not. I didn't know how people were going to react. So it wasn't planned. It just went through, and um I saw my events. I saw the reactions, and as I was walking down the stadium, they walk you through in front of everybody, in front of the stadium, and then you go to the podium. My brother was there, who just swam another race, and he had a little Puerto Rican flag, and he handed it to me, and I put it in my pocket. And it was only when I started hearing people singing that I pull it out, and then people went nuts. And it was like everyone was singing it. You know what, Brian? You know what's neat? I hear so many people have come up to me in the past and they say, and they just pick up. You're the one with the little flag. You're the one with the little flag. And that was me. And I hear other ones tell me the story. I remember that day I was in my house and everybody was singing the song. So it wasn't only in the stadium, it was people at their houses, singing the national anthem. So it was a moving moment for many and me.
Having been born and raised in Puerto Rico and now living in the U.S. and having now more years in the U.S. than Then in Puerto Rico, having done my university and my professional career here, we live in this two track lane, one life where so much of our identity is in Puerto Rico, but we've also have a life here in the United States. So to me, that moment and other moments like that exemplify or embody the duality of how difficult it can be of for folks who don't know about Puerto Rico, that we are a territory of the United States, and many of us believe that we want our country to reach its maximum potential, and at the same time our hearts are split between the lives that we currently have in the United States. Like I have a daughter, she's 14. So you started talking about the boycott in the 1980 Olympics because you find out that you cannot go in 1979 at the Pan Am Games, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So can you take us through that? Yeah.
Yeah, for what happened to me in '76, and talking, I remember crying, going, like I said, I remember setting the record in the 1500, but crying because I didn't make the team and everybody else was. I felt that way. Talking to my dad that same night, and he convincing me, your time is in 1980. That's when you'll shine. Those are your Olympics, and we're gonna start training for this tomorrow. And like in every house we lived, we had a pool in the backyard, and we started the next day. And and we went through that. We went through his death. We went through the good stuff like the World Championships and the Pan Ams, and then here goes the boycott. I didn't handle it well. A lot of people did not handle it well. When it was already 100% for sure, I kind of know. I left the pool. I was out of the pool for about a month, and then I decided to come back and try to make the team and participate. Uh, I was young. I should have stayed 100%. I should have realized where I was, but back then, most of us just went, "What are we doing here?" And what happened to me in that '76, and here comes another boy, because oh my God, 4 years of hard work, and
Right.
I am not going. I'm not going. What am I doing? And I kind of threw in the towel for a little while,
Mm-hmm.
and was pretty much convinced to come back to swimming. And later, I got a little bit more involved. And I said, okay, I gotta ride this wave to the end. God gave me some gift here, and I just can't throw it away. And I put on so much work. Let me finish this the best I can. And then it came the leg. After the
Yeah.
boycott, I had surgery in my leg.
Can I
And
ask you a quick question on
sure.
the boycott in 1980? Because I know you've been vocal about that being the wrong decision. And sometimes when we have these conversations, we want to paint the beautiful picture of your timeline and not show the human side of it. And I think I would do a huge mistake if I didn't ask you. Uh, can you tell us about your stand in the politics of that? That your how you mentioned before that is wrong. That we should not get politics like that, and how you see it still.
We don't live in a perfect world. I'm getting older, and this thing changes. We do not live in a perfect world. And in a perfect world, politics and sports should not mix. But we don't live in a perfect world. There will be mix. Uh, I don't think that boycott in specific accomplished anything. It just made it worse for next time.
Mhm.
You know, what they were boycotting for had nothing to do with what we were doing, and I don't know, it could have been handled a different way, except hurting us. But the idea was to hurt them, and didn't work out very well for the Olympic movement and the athletes. I
Mhm.
don't know if the world's a better place because something like that happened. But they sold it to us like, hey, dudes, some other people sacrifice their lives and this and that when they go to war. And you guys just turn to sacrifice this, your Olympics, and get behind the government and support it. And that's what most of us did.
And to you, obviously, we always say, elite athletes are very selfish. They only think about themselves. They have to be very self-centered. Um, and so, one of the questions that I kind of wanted to ask you is, to you, what did that mean at that point of your life? Obviously, you say you're young, in your mind, it's thinking, probably I want to be the best. But to you, what did it also mean, knowing that you came from a club, like you were saying, where it was international? There's people from all over the world. It's the spirit of the sport. Like you said, I mean, I've heard you mention before, there were no secrets. Everyone, all the training
Yeah, we shared it.
methodologies were shared. So to you at that young age, having that exposure, and now, when you go to the international stage, being, having those politics involved. Um,
It's more. You
okay.
know, what I like is the raw thing of it. I really like the kids to get the experience of swimming and training and competing and losing and winning. Uh, but there's a fine line when you have to know that's for some kids that's tricky. Uh, we measure ourselves only by one thing: Olympics. That's swimming. We get one
Mhm.
Olympics every 4 years, and not many get to go. And if we don't make to the Olympics, we're a failure. And that's not it. That's not right.
Mhm.
That's not true. And so I think about that a lot. Uh,
I think it's beautiful because, I shared this with you, but in 1994, you were one of my first coaches when I did one of my, little travel teams, and I was 10, and you came as a volunteer coach to one of the Caribbean islands swim meets. And I still remember that you said that, what you just said right now to us, the little group of 10 and unders, that you said, you don't have to be an Olympian, you don't have to be this or that. And it meant so much to me, because to hear for someone in the flesh that had accomplished so much, and to um, encourage you to be the best version of you. It's very refreshing when you get all these pressures from parents, other coaches. You're always measuring yourself. And ironically, one of the things that I do now as I coach triathletes and master swimmers and runners, it's precisely that. It's that, you know, you don't have to compare yourself to the previous best version of yourself. You don't have to compare yourself to whoever is going to Boston or this or that. You can work on yourself, on the best version of you every day. And
yep.
and it's a beautiful message. And I'm glad I heard it from you at that very young age. So thank you.
I heard one from a surfer that I might not be the best, but I have the most fun. And the best surfer is the one that has the most fun out there. So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
enjoy what you're doing. You challenge yourself. You celebrate your achievements. You adjust and you move on. But it's all about you and that experience. Uh,
So maybe that's a nice segue to what you were saying before. the infamous knee injury, and how you call that your comeback, the hard fought comeback to make it back to the '84
Well,
team. So tell us
yeah,
about those days.
that was a really completely different experience from what I had in the, younger, before my knee or after the knee. Actually, both world records were broken right after my knee injury, and I felt like I was completely out. Didn't know if to retire, and I was 2 years away from the Olympics, and I had a total reconstruction on my left knee. And it was huge. It was not looking well, but it became a real challenge for me. A second chance to see things differently. I didn't have to defend anymore. It's not the same to go to the pool, say, okay, I want to try to win this. To go to the pool, say, okay, I can't lose this. I can't lose this. Everybody wants to beat you. It's not like I want to win. It's like it's a completely different motivation, from a positive to trying to achieve something or make something happen, to a negative where, okay, I can't let this happen, and go into it differently. It's weights a little differently. So after the knee, it gave me a new chance. I wasn't expected to be there. I wasn't, wasn't my records. Everybody knew I had to go through this. Uh, so it was a neat experience. I threw away my dining set. I bought a swim gym. I put it in that same spot. I did a lot of things myself. I asked. We used to practice Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, and I asked the coach for the keys so I can go Tuesdays and Thursdays, and did a little extra keys since my knee had to come back. I used to go do stadiums and rehab, and it was all me. It was me.
Mhm.
Uh, in part coaching myself through this rehab. Yes, my coaches were there, and they were definitely helping a lot in the swimming part. But it was me looking for more extras, and that wasn't my dad pushing me when I was a way younger, or the coaches pushing me. It was a completely different thing for me, and I knew it was behind, and I was trying to catch up, and I pretty much knew all the competitors, so I knew where I was at, and yeah, it was a completely different experience, and going to the into the what is it, the Olympic trials, where you make the team or not make the team, which is the big thing. uh, I didn't know. I knew it was close and it was going to be competition, and I swam 3 events. I made it in two, but when it was really weird, because when I touch a wall, I immediately look back to see the scoreboard. And the 400, I am the first. I was third. I'm going, oh my God. I
No.
knew one had beaten, but I didn't know where the other guy was. And I just rub my eyes. I look again. Oh my God, it was second. Thank God.
Oh.
I made the team. I made the team.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so, and then that happened again in the 200 backstroke. I came in second, but the scoreboard first. I think I looked back immediately to see what happens, and I got third again, but it fixed quickly. So it was like funny, because it's I have it somewhere in a video, and I couldn't believe it. I said, "Did that really happen to me?" And watching the video, yes, it did happen. Look at my face. That is the expression of seeing a third on the wall,
Yeah.
and look at that, look at that. From second to third, it's all your life.
Hmm. And you
That,
still go ahead and you compete at the Olympics. You make the finals. You push forward. So
yeah,
tell us a
those were
little bit
tough.
about.
Those were tough. You know, Definitely not happy with the results, and uh, big broken heart. And uh, it's one of those days you wake up in the morning and you just don't have it. I couldn't
Mhm.
squeeze my hands. I didn't have it. I just never felt that before or that way in my life. And I left the 400 IM affect my 200 IM, my 200 back. You
Mhm.
know, the results, the way I felt in my 400 IM. It was just like, what the heck happened? What? Why? Why was I? I could usually swim feeling whatever way I didn't have to feel good to do okay. I could push through it. I wasn't one of those that said, okay, I can only do good when I feel great. But that day I didn't have it,
Mhm.
and then I was like, let that one bother the other one. Mental weakness. Let me try it again. You
So,
see, you're never satisfied.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's
That's what we build on us, and I have to be really careful with our kids when I coach. I'm very conscious that you know you let's say okay, you're coming, you're gonna go break a minute. I'm trying to break a minute. I'm trying to break a minute. You know, you don't break a minute once, you don't break a minute twice. Yeah, as soon as you break a minute, you want a 57.
right. What's the
And I
next?
wasn't good enough. Now I want a 57. If I don't go at 57, I'm no good. And you go on and go on and go on. And you when do you finish? And we are trained and conditioned to be that way. And it's
Right.
good, but you gotta be careful.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
let me ask you, because this is a great segue to the topic of the underwaters, because you mentioned, taking reins over your comeback, but I want to go back to your your influence into the underwater. I know it's a story you've talked before. Many of us are so proud of you for what we think you are the originator, the pioneer of the underwater. So can you take us through that process and how it happened in that story?
Well, we used to play a lot when I was 11, 12 years old. And the University of Miami pool had 225-yard courses, and then it went down for the diving. And that was about 18 feet. And that allowed us to play. We used to go down to the deep end and try to kick butterfly as fast as we can and jump over like a dolphin over the lane line. That's how we got good at it. And we developed some speed back then doing that. And that was 11, 12, 13 years old. We used to play around and develop that speed. And in 1976 came around and I had to swim at the Nationals, at the U.S. Nationals at East LA against John Neighbor. John Neighbor was about 6'6", and I was really little. And just, oh my God, this guy's huge. When he dives, it waves. I'm gonna be, coming out and I'm gonna feel his wave. So um, I knew I was pretty good doing the underwater. So I'm gonna try to do this and try to get in front of him so these waves don't don't get me. And it worked. It worked. And East LA is a pool that's you know, it's covered and it's got that that echo in it. It's a closed pool and you can hear it. And when I finished the race, my dad said, "Hey, do you know that when you dove, everybody went, oh, this place went, ooh." And that was actually the first time we did it in public. And
Nice.
we went on, and I used to do it. I used to do like 3 kicks off the walls. And then in 1976, we went to Japan. Mission Viejo took a group to Japan to go do clinics. We used to go to a Japanese team and talk to them. And in one of those trips, one of those clinics, I used to get in the water and deal with the kids and stuff. And you know, what I do with the kids in the water, and
Of
then
course,
I'm
yeah.
doing this, and I'm teaching them how to do the underwaters. I'm teaching them how to do this, the little ones in Japan, and it happened to be that Ichi Suzuki, the backstroker, was in that group. The guy that wins the 200 back or the 100 back in 1988 in the Olympics, when Burkhoff and him were pretty much doing a duel of the underwaters back
Yeah,
then.
yeah.
They
The
called it,
infamous six swimmers going beyond 25 meters. Yeah.
yeah, and that's when they got famous. And then one got a gold medal, and they called, no, it's the Burkhoff started. And Suzuki go, no, 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 that's not the Vassallo started that.
Vassallo. Yeah,
And actually,
yeah,
they call it the Vassallo kick in Japan.
yeah.
Yeah, they call it
And I
that.
know there is a nice I think swim did a nice video and you all and this they did a nice compilation of all of you and maybe we'll link up to that video because
Yeah,
I think it does justice to like you're saying you being the
yeah.
originator.
The,
So
the other day, the Hall of Fame in one of the inductions recognized it as such. So I'm pretty happy of that. I mean, I didn't mean it. It's just
yeah,
something. I,
yeah.
I'm short. I have to do something, right? Yeah.
So
So
one other question, because I know we're getting to the coaching conversation. I wanted to ask you about, you know, you train with Mark Stover, and but you also in Miami you're training with Coach Bill Diaz, and I wanted to ask you what was that the contrast or what was the experiences training under both systems?
I've learned a lot from a lot of people. I mean, you learn from others. And I have been lucky to have a lot of good coaches, from Tomas to Bill to Charlie Hudson, who was the assistant coach in Miami, but was pretty much the on deck guy. Uh, to the bunch of assistants that Mark had, and especially from those coaches that were uh, in trips, like we go swim for the US and Germany, and there's 10 coaches from other places. And sometimes you are assigned to one coach, and then the next trip you are assigned to another coach. And you can pick up a lot of things from all those coaches, a lot of good people. And sometimes you pick up what to do and what not to do. But Mark Schubert was super strict coach. Uh, I give a lot of credit to my success to what he did. Actually, my dad used to have us training between workouts and stuff like that. Like a lot of uh, swimming dads too. But once he met Mark, he backed off. He said, "This man knows what he's doing. I don't even have to look over there. No more workouts with him or nothing." He trusted Mark completely, and we were Mark's swimmers from them on. Bill, he was like my second dad. I know Bill like I was, he was my coach when I was a little kid, 11 and 12 years old, and later at college. And when my dad passed away, he took good care of us, good care of me. He was also, aware of my mom and everything. We used to say he don't know nothing about swimming, but he's a great motivator. You know, yes, and it takes, and that's what it
Yeah, yeah.
takes. Uh, he was a great team builder, and yeah, learned a lot. Very different, very different. When you swim with Mark and you learn from all these coaches around the world, you tend to go, "Oh my God, I kind of know a little bit more than
Yeah.
But no, I don't want to do that." But he was awesome. He was awesome. Uh, a lot of the practices we talked about what we'd like to do, you know. So, but he was never a swimmer or anything like that, but a great motivator, great motivator, and you need that too, you know. Yeah,
So
good swimmer.
maybe we stay in this coaching thing because putting maybe hitting a little bit fast forward after you sunset your career. Obviously, you've coached. You went back to Puerto Rico, which I think it's a huge chapter uh, to discuss because you make a conscious choice. Obviously, apologies. You also get married. You start having your kids, and you make a conscious decision to take over the reins of your hometown club coach in Puerto Rico. To me, it's very important that folks know the Chayang, as we call it, and maybe we can also you can also throw the story about for us who know you as Chayang versus the rest of the world as Jesse. So can you tell us a little bit about a mix of all that stuff?
When after 84, I swore I wasn't going to get in cold water again, or my kids were not going to swim, or I promised myself a lot of things after 1984. I was brokenhearted and, trying to find myself what I do in the rest of my life after investing so much time in the pool. And it wasn't coaching when I was looking at to do. I definitely wanted to move back home and work with my family. That was the plan. But it was when my oldest one, Jesse, needed to learn how to swim. I taught him how to swim where I started swimming and competing at the Club Deportivo. Then his cousin came and we used to have an hour of swimming with them and having fun and learning how to swim. And then another kid came, their friend came, and then another kid came, and all of a sudden, I'm there at the pool, and a friend will come and, hey, let's swim masters, and all of a sudden I'm swimming masters and teaching how to swim, but still working full time, with my family. And the love for it hit me back. I wasn't coaching for a while. I started teaching and swimming masters. And my kids, were all born. I take them to play baseball, and I take them to play basketball. And I take them to taekwondo and volleyball. And they were very little. But I took them to all that. And, the baseball, the stands were not the same as the stands in swimming. The mothers were not the same in basketball. I find, team sports not the same as individual sports. And then I started seeing the great things about swimming. You get your own block, you get your own lane, you get your own chance, and you do what you can with what you got. Everybody gets a chance to participate. It's not the coach's option. If he takes it, have a chance to swim and compete and see what he's got. And it was clean, and there was nice. Actually, this sport, the way it is, what it demands for you to develop, because you can come in and do it for a couple of years. But when you really get into it, and you're at championship level, and you're training twice a day, and you're doing this, it just develops a kind of character that's very special. You're going to meets every weekend. You lose, you fight, you try to get better. You're counting tens, hundreds, and struggling for that. It's pure, it's clean, it's fair, and it's up to you what you can do. And I found it like I built that a character that people that I would like my sons to have and develop, and the kind of people I like to hang around with. So I back in the game.
So one of the things that I did prior to this conversation was to talk to some of your former swimmers, and they'll have great, yeah, your former swimmers in Ponce.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And because they were my generation, and they're still good friends, and they all have the same thing, that they all share the same memories, which is that they remember a Jesse, a Chayanne Vassallo that was loving, that care about them, that never had this braggadocio about his accomplishments or anything. Um, One of your deep swimmers, who I'm very close friends with, Charlie, mentioned Solis that he has so many memories of you taking them to the beach surfing in one of your old beat up cars, and that you would buy or that you bought, you know, a bunch of boards, and that you would take them to Rincon and Aguadilla and surf with them, and they have ingrained those memories. So I want you to know that that generation, all of them, all of us are grateful and appreciate everything that you did for us. When you know you had other doors, so you could have gone many other places, and it means so much to all of us that you were that person that care, and I want you to know that all of these folks still remember you kindly. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
You know, the other day, my father-in-law passed away, and
I'm sorry.
the doctor came in to talk to the family, not me, my wife and his brothers and stuff like that. And said, as you know, they introduced us. Dr. Rodriguez wants to talk to the family, and he starts talking, and my wife's looking. Goes, I recognize this kid. Yeah, and she goes, yeah, you taught me how to swim.
Mm.
So it's happening a lot. I had a guy, I had a guy here that swam for free for about 5 years. He came from another pool that didn't have a program, and he's from Haiti. We gave him a scholarship. His parents never showed up. We never met his parents. He never competed for us. You know, he was like, you know, working out with us, but we give him the space, and his name is Love Son. And I used to go, hey, Love Son, how come you don't laugh at my jokes? He goes, Coach, they're not funny. Funny. I said, okay, all right, all right. So, you know, Love Son got to participate in high school swimming. Didn't participate with us, but did participate with his high school. And then later, Love Son got to play water polo with his high school. And you know, after 3 or 4 years, I don't know how long he was there forever. He disappeared. He didn't come back. And we had good memories about Love Son, but you know, where is he? What just came, did his thing, and left. But maybe about a year ago, this big tall black man walks into the pool, you know. He's walking, oh geez, and he's looking at me and coming straight at me. I hope he's not mad. This guy's big, you know. He's coming at me and going, oh shit. Sorry. It's Love Son. Love Son. Oh my
Wow.
God. Man, how you doing, man? Oh, real good, coach. I came to thank you because of what you did for me. Today I'm a Marine.
Wow.
Yeah. So uh, the characters we built,
Hmm.
the doors we open, the memories we give. Sometimes they ask, what does a coach do? So we make a hell of a difference in people's life.
Of course.
And could be more successful in ways people measure coaches. I could be a hard ass. I know what it takes. I could break a lot of hearts. I could
Hmm.
break a lot of people.
Hmm.
I could be the make it or break it guy. I'd be easy. I'd be
Yeah.
easy because if you're not making this, get the hell out of here, you know. If you're missing, get the hell out. But I'm not that guy. I want people to enjoy their experience. And I want them to also understand they're gonna get in what they put in. They're gonna get out of their swimming how much they put in. You know, everybody has their talent, but also it's what you put in and what you can expect to get out of it so they can leave this sport with a good good feelings about it. I would love to have everybody that swam under me have a great experience. Sometimes, sometimes big dreams and hopes, and again, I got a great kid right now who's a really good, pretty good little swimmer, but he has huge dreams.
Mm.
And sometimes you got to keep your feet in the ground and slow. Not yet. The word yet sometimes is important,
Yeah. Mm.
but it breaks my heart uh, sometimes. So I don't push it down to
Yeah. Yeah.
to make it or break it.
That's beautiful. I think that part of I appreciate those words, Jesse, because now that I work with adults that are, coming back to sport, or they want, a certain experience, because they want to, run a certain time on a 10K, they want to make it to the Ironman World Championships and
Finish it,
stuff like
yeah.
that. I always say, it's got to be sustainable. You're supposed to have fun. I mean, most of these folks are, they have families, they have other jobs. So I always say it's got to be something that you look forward to. And like you said, I mean, I think we all have our own experiences training for whatever, goals, but it's easy to throw a bunch of eggs to the wall and a few will stick. But I think it's much harder to have a philosophy of life or something that you can be sustainable. So I always equate it to, like, I want you to, bat 300. Like, I need you to be consistent and healthy, because it's easy for me to break you and
Yeah.
but then you're not going to come back, right? So I think we want, especially, you work with kids, like that's even more precious. We want that experience to be fun, enjoyable, right? So
The kid makes it a little harder because most of the time it's not the kid's dreams or hopes. It becomes a real pain when it's only the dad's or mom's hope and dreams, and you know you gotta be real careful. Uh, when you get an adult, they come already, with some experiences of life and maybe some expectations that are more down to earth. But when you get, 99% of the moms come here and bring in an Olympian. Uh, you know, I usually tell them,
yeah. Let me tell you something about being an
let
Olympian.
me tell you something. I said, you know what? There's 34,000 engineers graduate every year. 34,000 architects. I don't know how many, 30,000 doctors a year. Only 54 make the Olympics every 4 years, man. And there could be a lot of heartbreaks. It takes a lot. Not
So
impossible. Not. What I tell the kids most of the time. Uh, keep it as a dream and make it a goal as you get closer to it. But the true, of all the times I opportunity that I had to stand in uh, in award stands to pick up a medal. I remember the people singing the song, but not everybody does that. But you don't remember that. That's not what your glory is. You pretty much remember the workouts and the struggle, and as you remember the climb. It's not getting on top of the mountain and looking around. It's that climb. It's that time you slipped and you held on, and that time you overcame that little rock. It's the struggle. Enjoy the struggle, because
right.
that's what you're gonna remember. And that's what makes you not. You can take a helicopter and get up there, and take the same
Hmm.
view. Does that make you the person? You can buy a medal, a huge medal like that, right? Does that make you the person?
Right.
It's the struggles. So enjoy that one.
um, One thing that I wanted to ask you, it's about your innovation and creation of the band, the ankle band. Can you say a little bit more about that idea? I know you mentioned before that you guys always play with stuff in Mission Viejo with toys and getting
Yeah,
creative.
I
How do
mean,
you come up with that now? And tell us a little bit more about that.
we used to pull Mission Viejo. We swam 10,000 meters, but we pulled 3,000 meters every workout. We would have, and he would say,
And by
"Coach,
pool, you mean paddles and pool.
paddles, pull boys, and something holding your feet together. Otherwise, you were cheating."
Oh, so you always
Yeah,
pull
but
buoy and add something on
there
your
was
ankle?
not a product made for that. We used to cut tires, tubes. We used to make little. We used to use belts, but everything rubbed. And then we used to use the inner tubes for the little wheelbarrows, and those were tough, and some were harder than others. But there was never a product for it. There was never, that's made for that.
Mm-hmm.
And one day I'm coaching at the Hall of Fame, and I got a bunch of age groupers, and they're all stopping because their pool boys is coming off. And I'm going, oh my God, I gotta tie this kid's feet. I mean, they gotta tap their ankles together, keep the pool boys and stuff like that. And at that same time, remember the bracelets that were people had for Armstrong,
Oh, the Live Strong
Neil
bracelets. Yeah,
Armstrong.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I said, I was at the Hall of Fame. I said, let's make a product. I mean, everybody should be tying their feet. That's what me. What I was thinking, and let's make a product and raise some money for the Hall of Fame. The band for the feet. And I approached the Hall of Fame, and they did okay, do it. But they never helped much. What I did, I gave them some product. They sold it. We get an interchange, and then it kind of died away. Uh, then I said, okay, I'm gonna make a little product for it because I think it's very important. And it's not only use it to keep your feet together so you can keep your pool boy in place. Actually, if you're using a pool boy, you're floating. That gives you a lift. You can still kick. You can still balance yourself with your kick. So it does help you to float. It gives your body up, gives you a better body position. Does that help you to pull? Does that challenge you to pull? Probably not. I have a lot of swimmers that are faster swimmers with the pool boy than without a pool boy, and especially a lot of older people.
Yeah, I was gonna
That's
say a
master
lot of
with pool
masters.
boy,
Yeah, yeah,
because it's assisting you.
right.
It's only when you tie your feet that you start having a little. And a couple of things happen. You got a pool boy and you balance yourself. When you have your feet tight, you can't balance yourself. You have to then point your toes, keep your legs straight, tighten up your core, and rotate in the same place. If you overreach on one side or pull outside, your body will respond in the back. So you're constantly, working on a balancing act. So it works on your rotation and your body position, and it gives you it gives you a little challenge because you're gonna have to pull harder to move that body. So try it out.
For
It
sure.
does
And
work.
we'll make sure to put a link to your website so
You
that
know,
folks can
at
get
the
access to it.
beginning, I just said let's tie your feet.
Mm-hmm.
But as an older person, as a coach that is looking for something, man, it makes me work on this, makes me work on that.
Yeah.
Is actually for me to try to move faster. I got to point my toes, get that body straight, and keep it there. Anything I do reflects in the back a lot more. Wait till you
And
try it.
yeah, and you told me that it's not just you. You told me that 8 of the top 10 US programs in the US buy your
Yeah,
product, right? So they get it from you every year. So if they're using it, everyone else should be using it, right?
I get the top right now for the last 3 or 4 years. The top 8, not 8 out of the 10, at least 8 out
Right.
of the 10 have bought for me before. You know, They use it in different ways. They use it without a pull buoy,
Hmm.
to sprint, and they find their ways. They use it. It's a little tool, you know. Now
So,
I'm doing another one now,
oh,
and this
okay,
is
all
kind of
right.
crazy, Um, I have girls and boys team, and I have all the boys were starting to use the drag suits, and I saw the girls putting boys suit on,
Right, yeah,
but
yeah,
they were there's some of them, no, I don't like it, and they take it off, and then the girls are using, this they're using the two-piece suit now, and
yeah.
they're riding high, and I'm going like, oh my god. So I came out with this drag suit. Actually, what I did was, the swim bags where they put their pull buoys and paddles, and they had a couple of old swim bags, and I cut them and I gave them to the girls to use as drag suits, and they started using them, and I thought that okay, they'll put it on a week or two. I mean, they were using that stuff for about 2 months. I go, oh my god, they really like it. So I sent to make some prototype suits. Actually, I have one back there. Can you see it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's the product, and it's the girls love it. I gave them a suit. They put it on without asking. They say the girls tell me that it doesn't ride up like they thought it would be, but the boys have also used it. They say it's a lot more comfortable than the old drag suit, because usually the drag suits are really tight in the thighs,
Yeah.
and it's comfortable. And so I'm not selling much. It just started, and then you got big companies selling suits and stuff like that. I might want to talk to a company, take over, but
Well,
it's something I don't want to let die.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
And it's interesting because, I feel like I lived through a couple evolutions of things that getting getting vogue, they they're used a lot and then they go away.
yeah,
So for example, like I
drag suits will
remember
be back.
so I remember in the 90s, we will or like speedos, right? And
Yeah.
and I mean, I was at the tail end of it of no goggles. Like I remember getting to Villanova and I didn't wear goggles, and people were like, "What are you doing?" Like, I don't train with goggles,
There was
right?
no goggles back
Yeah. So then,
then.
but same thing with the drag suit. Like there was speedo. Then the early 2000s, everyone's wearing a drag suit. And then in the mid to tens, then everyone wants to wear a
Nobody.
speedo again, and now there's drag suit again. So it's kind of up and
It,
down, up and down.
it happens with
Um,
strokes. Michael Phelps comes and he breaks all the records breathing to one side constantly. Everybody wants to breathe that way. I said, hey,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
balance is important. You're not Michael Phelps.
yeah, yeah. So speaking of Michael Phelps, this is a great segue. Obviously, when you break the world record, you go for 20, and now we see the likes of Leo Marchand. I mean, you know what Phelps and Lochte and Marchand have done, and now the record is down to 402. I think I heard an interview Michael Phelps saying there would like he could have gone under 4 minutes had he kind of like focused solely on that. What's your take on that? What's your hot take on that? And where do you
Well,
see the record going?
I,
Like,
I
what's the
always
future
thought,
of the 400 AM?
I thought for a minute, the same way. I said, the best I could ever do was a 413. That's about it. I
Back
don't see
then,
it.
okay,
But you
yeah,
you kind of do that. You kind of go, what would be the best swim I could put together ever. For how and that's what you think of yourself. But look at that, 413 slow nowadays. You know, Uh,
wow,
yeah, they'll break four
well,
minutes.
yeah,
They'll break 4 minutes. What's more impressive is the 50 free yards. He said, my God, when I swam, there was one dude that, you know, almost break the 20. All of a sudden, bad, they break that 20, and it's a 90. If you don't go 19, you're not in the relay.
right.
Now, if you don't go 18, you're not in the
18,
A relay. It's like, what? And they're
yeah,
going 17s. And that's such a short distance to improve so much. I can
Yeah.
see it at 400. You know, you got a
Yeah.
little ways where you can improve a lot. But
And it's interesting because like when I'm about a year younger or older than Phelps, like I'm between Phelps and Lochte age. And so when I make it to college and we start seeing everyone, underwaters, and that evolution of the underwaters, in my head, I'm like, wow, at some point they're gonna swim the 400 free long course and everyone's gonna do 50 meters like on each wall, right? But it didn't happen because, as you know, everyone, it's very specific. So you can see now folks maybe a little wait into the last 50, maybe some folks go 8 to 10 meters. But what I found interesting, even like Hafnawi, when he won the 400 free at the Olympics, that he was breaking right away. He's not necessarily going full, 15, but it's in my head, I was like, everyone's gonna go 50 meters in the 400 free or the 1500. Like I see, the future of that, and clearly, like you said, it comes and goes. Like it doesn't necessarily. It means all or nothing. So, yeah. What do you think?
it's just, I mean, when you see the NC2As, that's impressive because they come out for a couple of strokes and hit the wall and they go under again, and hit the wall and go under again. You know, that's just amazing. And it is, the fifth stroke. You just gotta be smart. You gotta be, it takes a lot to go underwater and go that fast. And when they figure out, okay, well, I can swim a little faster on top and then go under and judge. Like I used to say, okay, I'm gonna try to do 3-3-3 in every wall, and if I can do better than that at the end, don't do it in the front because you tried in the start, you blow everything you can. Oh, you still got a 200, and you did 6 in the first, 3 in the second, 2 in the next one, and then you couldn't do any in the next one. So they know if I could use that weapon at the end where everybody's hurting and I can go on there and do that, I give up a couple in the beginning so I can use it at the end.
And maybe that's our next last segue to a topic that I wanted to make sure we cover because it's your years as president of the Puerto Rican Swimming Federation. I know some of the story, but I wanted you to share with us, and also I know we touched a little bit of the politics, but I think it's important that we hear from you and what that experience was like. You were at the top of the sport and as an athlete, but also you went into that side of the politics of it and trying to make a difference. So can you share some of that?
Well, I got involved because a friend of mine wanted to run us for president. And I said, okay, I'll be vice president and we'll help you to try to get elected, and we'll go through the politics and we'll go and design a program that I'll be comfortable with and talk about. And so we did that. And to my surprise, 2 months after the beginning of his winning the elections and getting started, he had to quit, and it was then up to me. The good, the bad, and the ugly. It's tough. But let's talk about the things we did accomplish. When we got there, there was only 600 kids in the Puerto Rican Swimming Federation, or la Federación Puertorriqueña de Natación. I thought that was a very low number. There was only 2 divers. There was only 4 synchronized swimmers, and there was some water polo. No water polo women's was practically not working. So one of the things I was worried about is that there's no participation. You had a group of good swimmers, and that little block, and then the rest, there wasn't much behind them. And all those sports, and we talked about that we wanted to increase the numbers. And one of the things we did was Nadar Puerto Rico, which was a program to increase those numbers. And we did a couple of other things to get some growth in the other disciplines. And it worked out, and I was very proud of that. I'm going to tell you. Through Puerto Rico, we talked to the government. We got some money from them to help us organize this. We organized a 4-day clinic for all the coaches in Puerto Rico, all the teams, and the people that wanted to teach how to swim in the teams. So we took the time to teach them how to teach before we went. So all the teams had a group of teachers. The second thing was to get the government had passes. They give these passes to their public, and then they take it to the swimming teams for 8 classes, for 8 free classes. The swimming team picked up this tickets or whatever they had a ticket, and the kid had their 8 classes, and the team later gave us those tickets, and we went to the government, pick up their money, and get their money. So the teams were getting new kids coming in. The kids were getting free classes. The teams were getting money from the kids coming in, and we were lucky enough to hold on to. I think after that we had, by the end of the year, we have from 600 to 1,600 kids in the federation. So we were really happy with the results. And every swim team had a swim school structure now, where they can build on their numbers. That's not what happens usually. It takes a long time to get into it. Anyways, I was very proud of that. We also did the diving. There was not very many diving coaches. We had coaches, one in Salina and one in San Juan. So we try to make the other pools function. We pay for the coaches to go, a coach to go to the different pools and teach other people to teach. Basic, but got the thing rolling. We ended up with, I think we had like four to five different diving teams. That was great. Rio Piedras, el Albergue, en la piscina nueva, and what is it, the natatorio. And anyways, we got our numbers going, and we did the same thing with synchronized swimming. And by the end of our 4 or 5 years we were there, we had better numbers. I was just not happy to see, Puerto Rico, the government gets money to the federations through the Olympic Committee. The Olympic Committee only thinks about high end,
Right.
and then where the heck do you get the high end? If what, you're gonna buy them somewhere, you have to develop them, and I really think that they miss out on that. They don't think about developing. By the end of my years, I said, okay, I'm going to take a look at what happened. Yes, we did have more divers. We did have more and better divers. We had a couple better divers. More complete. We had boy divers. We only had girl divers. So we also had more. We had water polo. Women's water polo had done very well. Men's water polo had done better. There was more kids playing both disciplines. There was more kids playing doing the synchronized swimming. Even if it wasn't top thing, we had about 6 different teams, So there was competitions. There was tournaments,
Yeah.
It wasn't like, okay, these 2 are the ones that are going to go to that. Or these 2 because they're only 2. Well, they're great, yeah, because they're the only 2.
And Ponce always had, I remember, Ponce always had a great water polo culture.
Yeah.
Strong, we always knew that we could count with water polo from
Caguas and Ponce.
Caguas, that's right. Yeah.
The water polo kings. Anyways, yeah, they, and it developed a little more. We're happy about that. One thing I like to say, when I got there, we had a kid 13, 14, maybe going 54, in 100 feet. Damn, he's quick. And then the second guy would go, 57. and the third guy would go 59. And then from them on, everybody was 102, 103, 104.
Mm-hmm.
You know, by the time I left the 100 free, you had a 54, a 57, and everybody else was under a minute in the top 8. And 9 and 10 was also under a minute. So, you know, it was like it's starting to build more, it's starting to, you know, have more numbers. I was just saying, okay, by the end of this, if you keep going the same way, you know who's going to be your relay by 2000. At 2000, you're going to know who's going to be your relay on 2010, 2012, because you don't have anybody else. It's those four you're going to invest in and hope they don't leave swimming, because then you don't have the relay.
Yeah.
You know, you can't think about just developing two for diving. You got, and that's just the way I think. A lot of people say, no, let's put the money in this one that's already dedicated. He says, I think the experience is so important, and it builds those characters. That is not only sport for the medals, it's sport for what it builds, for what it is.
You know, Charlie, that we talked previously,
Charlie Solis.
Charlie Solis, Charlie Saludo. He also says something about you that it's near and dear, which is that he said Chayanne never care about the fastest, just the fastest. Charlie said he care about everyone, and I think that because he put it in the context that not all, but you know, sometimes some coaches they'll put more time and attention to the faster kids, and like you said, because maybe there's another agenda about results, but he said that you care about all, and I wish we could, you know, promote that message more organically. Not necessarily. I mean, I think we all kind of agree that that's what we should do, but you know, no, it doesn't always happen, right? So I think it's it reflects of your character, Jesse, that you truly lived your values as president. Because I think sometimes you get to these positions of power, political positions, and then you sort of forget, and to stay true to that message and to actually put it in practice when you're at the top. It's important. And I can tell you as well that my mom, you know this, my mom was an official for the Federation. Still, she is. So she's been through a couple of administrations. Yes. And, you know, we need parents that volunteer and our officials. And I know that she remembers you fondly too, because like you said, they were not easy years. And to have someone that her as a volunteer to work for, it's important too, because you need those officials, you need those folks to train other officials, to work the backup machines, the timing systems, to bring the equipment, to, you know, all this stuff behind the scenes that no one sees, to make it work, and it starts at the top, right? It starts with setting up a good tone, a good example. So thank you for those years of service.
No, thank you guys, and thank you, mom. You know, I used to for moments I said, "Oh man, it's so hard to get volunteers, and it's such hard work because it's not only a couple of hours. Some days it's 2 days in a row, and when it
Right.
gets really good, so 3 days in a row. You know, prelims and finals, morning and
Yeah.
afternoon, and then all you get is pretty much you know, the bad stuff. So I admire all those who give that time to others. Most of them, you know, their kids are long gone, and they stick around and still help uh, for, you know, for whatever reason.
Yeah.
They do stick around, and it's admirable for me to see those people. Just I admire them.
So I have one more last question for you, and I kind of want to bring it up back to the very first thing you said, you as a father, and I think I don't want to forget that you are also we're also talking here about you, Jesse, the person, and I just wanted to ask you, you know, with such a beautiful story in the arc of your story, um, how did you bring all that stuff into your role as as dad, as Jesse, the father. And I know, um, we grew up around your kids, and we could also see you being a father. But you tell us.
They know things I have accomplished and stuff like that, but I think for a long time they thought, well, all dads do that, you know. All dads are like that. They have those merits and those, but they didn't see anything special uh, or different because I didn't make it anything. But one thing that was funny, uh, the one day I thought, oh my God, they are impressed. One day they found out that I had in Japan, the Digit Man, Digit Man, or Pokemon. Pokemon.
Oh, yeah, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's another one, Digimon or something like that, Japanese thing, and there was one that had my name. That used to, they develop a character, Orca. I don't know what the heck, and they had the Vassallo kick, and that was his weapon, and this and that. But it was about me, and when they found out about that, it goes, holy cow! My dad has his own Digiman.
So finally made it. Pokemon Digimon.
Oh,
That's it.
my dad.
Forget about
That's
the world records.
no, that's that. Having your own, that's big.
That's huge.
Well, that's true story. I was like, no, that impressed you, huh? Yeah,
That's
but
funny.
that's yeah. You know, I go here pretty much. My swimmers, most of them don't know. Actually, this weekend I had a kid that's pretty good swimmer. I was telling you about, but he wants to swim in a big college. He wants to swim, where there's top swimming,
Mhm.
and he's not there yet. And it's been really hard for him not to get the attention from those big colleges that he wants to attend, But big colleges with big swimming,
Mhm.
So, and it's tough. It's a world competition to get into those things now. It's always been, but it's tough. It's not easy. To me, there's less opportunities nowadays than there used to be. Uh, for big college like UCLA, University of Miami, Clemson, all these colleges don't have man swimming anymore. Big names call schools. Uh, Anyways, where I was getting at, uh, I sat down and told him my story, and he's been with me since he was 6 years old,
Wow.
and he didn't know half of it. He didn't know about the 1976 not getting on the boat because of politics. He didn't know how I felt about the boycott. He really didn't know about my leg or my frustrations. He only thought a couple of things, and it was all roses. The dude, dude, it's
There's this
partly,
thing called Wikipedia.
yeah, here we go, the climb.
Mm.
And yeah, I talked to him about it, but don't talk to them about it much. It was that moment after so many years of, he's 17, so I've been coaching him. Always been in our team for 10 years. Went through my wife as a coach, then another group, and then my group. But I watched him. I know him since he was little. That's one thing. There's teams that have 3 or 4 pools now. I like mine close, my little family team.
Mhm.
And I don't like to start recruiting from other teams. If they come, they better behave. But I most of my kids that swim with me started with me. Yes, all through the program. It's a family thing, and I think that gives it a chance to be very special for them. Uh, some of them have left for other teams, but not many.
Mhm.
It happens.
Bueno, Cheyenne, Jesse, this is a, a beautiful place to stop it. I wanted to thank you again. I mentioned this before, but I told you over the phone that I have this great picture of us getting off the plane in 1994 for that swim trip, and you're giving me a hug, a side hug, and pointing to the camera and making me laugh. And I told you that wherever I went, I took that picture because swimming always meant a lot to me. I showed you that story about you reminding us that you don't have to be an Olympian to be good, to chase the best
You're
version.
proud of yourself. Yeah.
And it means a lot that you're my sports hero, and here we are, 30 years, almost 30, exactly 30 years. So thank you.
You know,
You're like the wine, just getting better.
Brian, man, you take good care of yourself. You're a good man. Your family has always been, great, helping me. And when we were doing the federation, your mom, your grandma, your brother,
Mhm.
you were always there, not for me, but for others. And I appreciate that. You give them all a hug, okay?
We'll do. Gracias, Chan.
All right.
Bye.
Take care, my friend. Bye bye.
Bye.